Welcome back, everybody. It is Series 2 here on a lovely, lovely night of VCS action. My name is Caris. With me is Yulway with an interesting background. I'm sure someone understands what that means, but it's definitely not me. But we've got a banger of a game coming up for you. Yulway, why don't you give the rundown on it?
So on the one side we have Cerberus, on the other we have Secret, and in years, in splits past, this would have been an upper table match that with quite a bit of expectation behind it. Unfortunately, today I don't really think that's the case. Team Secret has been struggling quite a bit. They looked really bad early on this week, and Cerberus, on the other hand, have actually been looking like the clear second best team after winning against Wales and just looking really strong, really dominant, especially from their bot lane performance. They're back in their championship form. And I kind of think Cerberus is the big favorite today. I even predicted a 2-0. But maybe Secret can surprise us. They've been struggling to find their jungler. They've tried so many different junglers. It's now the third jungler. They still have a fourth jungler on the bench. So we never know what's going to happen on that position over there. Let's get surprised.
So yeah, Cerberus is a team I actually haven't seen a huge amount of this split. I've obviously missed a week of VCS, that sort of thing. I haven't cast them this split. Just tell me about this team. How are they looking? Is it the Artemis show? Is he back on top?
Yeah. It is not only the Artemis show, but of course, when Cerberus is best, it is about Artemis being the best player in the league. And he has looked, once again, like the best, or maybe tied with Shogun, the two best ADCs in the league. His team fighting is incredible. His Xayah has always been amazing. His Aphelios is great. So he has been looking really strong, but some of the other parts, some of the supporting casts, is also better. Yado, much better laning phases, better overall performance in the game. Pan has been very solid. Big Rock, 5 games of Jax, so he's not even only playing tanks. He's also playing his old one trick in the Jax. Drakthar has been stepping up, and Ron is back to his form. So really, all of their players looking much better again. It's not only the Artemis show, but of course he is the main carry. He's the star of this team.
Absolutely. And looking over at Team Secret, they are currently sitting in 7th. Do you think that's really an accurate look at where they are, or has it just been a tough draw so far?
Honestly, the more I watch their games, the more I actually have to say it looks a bit like they are actually a bottom 2-3 team. Because nothing seems to be working. As I said earlier, jungle situation is a horror. They are not finding any good junglers right now. All of the junglers are underperforming. But it's not just the jungle position, even though that's one of the most crucial positions in VCS history. No one else is really stepping up. Zuhao and Eddie have kind of lost their edge. They're not playing badly, but they're not playing good enough to make a difference in the very strong bot lane split. Artifact is alright, but he's also not back to his MVP performances, and Hero is struggling in top lane, so it's surprisingly kind of the reverse situation of Cerberus, where all the members are not living up to the hype we put on them, justifyingly so after last year, where they were close to actually making multiple international tournaments.
Yeah, exactly. Like we had that situation where we were really counting Team Secret up there with the SGBs, with the Gums, but that's just completely fallen away. Looking forward to the draft, which shouldn't be too far away, what kind of champions are we looking at if Team Secret can get them that would, or potentially deny them from Cerberus to get themselves a win in one game or perhaps a series?
Yeah, I expect to see a lot of Xayah priority. Now, Team Secret hasn't actually played Xayah yet. They have a lot of Zeri games, a lot of Varus, but of course Xayah is something that Eddie was known for. I actually called out Eddie in one of his early splits as the best Xayah in the league, when Xayah was more of a niche pick. Artemis has played 2 Xayah games, so I definitely expect a little bit more priority on this champions in particular. Artemis has actually played a whole bunch of different champions. He has a Draven game, he has a Caitlyn game, he has a Kalista game. So, can't really ban him out. I think attacking the Xayah and Varus is probably the only thing you can really try to go for. And then, other than that, maybe try to force the Jax away from Pan, because he's found some very decent success on the Jax. He has only won 3 of the 5 games, but it's a very comfortable champion. Of course, we both kind of lived through the whole career of Pan when he came in as this big new replacement player for Raizo, never really lived up to the hype, then went over to Cerberus, and is now a well-established top laner, has actually won more title than Hasmet ever got. So I feel like maybe neutralizing top lane and attacking the bot lane in draft could be an option for the side of Team Secret, because they have to rely on Eddie living up to Artemis today.
And that is a tall order.
It is.
That is a really, really tall order, because Artemis has just been insane. I'm sure you've got a bunch of stats you could rattle off to show everyone how absolutely cracked Artemis is. He's always been this fantastic ADC. We've always said Cerberus is the Artemis show. You're saying that other members of the Cerberus are stepping up as well. You're not wrong, of course. I agree. But even Cerberus stepping up, it's still just Artemis just being probably the best ADC Vietnam's ever produced.
The longer his career goes, the more you can really say that. He has only won one title, Slater has two, and of course the Gamma ADCs get titles all the time. So in terms of accomplishments, maybe not so much, but his individual performances are unrivaled, and I'm so hyped to see more of him against Shogun, especially the two hyper carry ADCs in our league, really. But we're into draft, and Cerberus is on blue side with bans against Elise and Tristana. So a little bit of the early game priority taken away from the side of Team Secret. Jax is open, and Han has played a lot of Jax, so that is a hover that can't surprise anyone.
Yeah, he's a big Jax player. He loves this pick. It's fairly good at the moment. Surely. Oh, we're first picking Viego. All right. That caught me off guard.
Yeah, so first pick Viego is actually something that's crept back into the meta in multiple regions, but of course Viego is a favorite of a lot of the VCS junglers and does well particularly into Lee Sin. So it kind of blocks off the Lee Sin and gives really good team fighting later on if you are able to provide him with another engage tool. Of course, Viego not the greatest engage, but if he can be secondary engaged, if he can be more of a damage dealer in the team fights, he can really carry this. That would be spicy. That's one of Artemis' favorite champions, but instead it's Xayah. So Varus and Xayah actually attacked. I like this strategy. They're doing exactly what I wanted them to do. Xayah picked, Varus taken away, so now Artemis has to go to like B-tier ADC champion.
I mean, Zeri's still available. Or this Aphelios that we saw an incredible performance out of Vinboys earlier today. I mean, Artemis on Aphelios, I'm not calling that B tier.
Yep. Now that is more than fair. And also Ron P on Thresh, probably the best Thresh this region has ever seen. For such a long time has been an exceptional Thresh player. We have seen this insane hook from last year, so I'm always excited to see the Thresh. Thresh gives Artemis even more power to reposition, even more power to carry the game, so he can disregard his own safety. Are you really picking Rakan into... Okay, well, can work. It's a spicy matchup in the bot lane. Xayah, Rakan, of course, work well together, so we should see a lot of action down in the bot lane.
We definitely should. Is risky picking it into a Thresh, of course. Telegraphed engage is something Thresh loves to play against. But it's also not necessarily just a pick for lane. Rakan is obviously just a fantastic pick support throughout the entire game. LeBlanc being removed from Yardo. Mid lane targeting makes a lot of sense. Neither team has picked up their mid laner. Team Secret could ban 2, pick the next. What are you looking at your way?
The top lane is still open as well, and the Jax didn't go picked or banned here in the first stage. I think Gragas is a very good ban into Team Secret. Hero has kind of prioritized the Gragas in the top lane. Is also just a big flex pick, can go anywhere. You can even flex the Sejuani into top lane and Gragas into jungle if you really want to, so I feel like the Gragas ban would be something I would be looking out for, especially if you try to get the Jax, because Jax into Gragas, it's not a super hard counter, but it's very uncomfortable to play, so why give Pun this extra bit of difficulty in this lane? Just ban away the Gragas. I think that's probably the best option here. It's also another AP top laner, and you kind of need heavy AP for Team Secret. Instead they go mid lane, Akali banned away. I'm not sure about the Veigar ban. This could signal something new. I'm not sure about the Veigar-Aurelion Sol matchup, but I'm always hoping for the Dragon.
I would love to see some Star Dragon. I love watching it, even if I don't like playing against it. Azir is the hover at the moment. Artifact, always been a very good Azir player, very handy on the bird. He's just going to lock that in. Doesn't really say very much, and just saves the counter pick for top.
We have really shied away from Azir here in VCS. We haven't seen much Azir at all. A lot of the melee champs have gotten high priority. We've even seen Kati towards something like Orianna instead. And yeah, this is an Azir. It's decent team fighting. Really, the standard team fighting options in almost all the roles for the side of Secret. So can just expect a solid game. I'm not sure if it's good enough to attack Cerberus in their insane form right now. And we have Pun on one of the tanks, so but Rebel in his sleep is happy.
Cassante has come out, and Talia looking to be locked in beside it for Yano. Makes a lot of sense. This is a strong team comp here for Cerberus.
Yeah, I really like the Talia into Sejuani, Azir, and Rakan. It's so hard to play those champions into the Talia E. If you ever overstep and get stunned in the boulders, you probably just die. It's also a decent setup for the side of Drakthar on the Viego. Now, the engage is not the greatest for Cerberus, as we see some hovers on the side of Secret. They might, even more team fighting, why not? I don't like compositions where Sejuani is the only melee champ. Always feel like you want more melees to stack her passive, especially in the solo lanes. So every time I see solo lane ranged champions with Sejuani jungle, I'm a bit sad. Has happened way too many times in the VCS, so not the greatest gank setup for the Sejuani for Son, who's still trying to find his footing. But overall, this composition is this is really bread and butter. This is cookie cutter team fighting from 5 years ago. This could have been the comp. It's still a composition that's possible right now for Secret, so everyone knows what they want to do. I'm a little bit skeptical about their execution.
Yeah, I think it's tricky here, but we'll have to see. I'm just happy to see Artemis playing Aphelios. He's such a treat on this champion. Whenever you give him these long range hyper carries, he puts on an absolute clinic. He puts on a show. And what better way to reintroduce Artemis, to me at least, obviously not to everyone, but for this split, is put him on the Aphelios and let him have an absolute cracker.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, there was a small little tech thing that surprised me, but hopefully we are going to get into games soon. There was one game, I can't remember if it was Artemis or Shogun. Both of them have had insane Aphelios performances. I think it was Artemis, and he had the most insane chase down in bot lane using all his skills, hiding his purple gun projectile underneath the flame wave of the flamethrower, then changing back and forth between weapons to activate purple gun, but never auto-attack with purple gun. It was so beautifully done. I believe it was Artemis. And yeah, I just like to see this champion in the hands of the best players because yeah, I like to play Aphelios myself, and I feel like now after all the nerfs, after his ridiculous ultimate damage is gone until late game, he's actually a pretty fair champion. Clear weaknesses, clear strengths, and yeah, just the quintessential ADC of the game nowadays.
Yeah, he is actually pretty fair these days. I know certain people in the community will crucify me just for saying it, but I think Aphelios is fair. I think if you lose to Aphelios, it's because he was better than you. And that is just something you have to deal with. And heading into game, we are onto the rift for game 1 of Cerberus taking on Team Secret.
One thing I want to...
Okay, go ahead.
One thing I just want to point out immediately before we go into the bot lane skirmishes, no one is heal. So double cleanse in bot lane means lower HP total between the two champions, which means much more volatile early trading. Level 1 Flash E from Rona P, for example, could lead to something like an early kill because there's not the extra safety of the heal. So just something to keep your eyes on. Of course, in the late game, cleanse is almost always better than heal, but in the early laning phase, heal can really make a difference.
It's a very good point. I was going to say Cassante is a champion I still haven't seen a huge amount of, so I'm curious to see what Pun can do on it. It seems like a champion that really suits him, just a big tanky boy.
Do yourself a favor and go back and watch Nagia on Cassante, because that dude on Cassante was the most insane performance I've ever seen. He just solo killed 50,000 times. Yeah, he is the Cassante player. Let's see if Pun can be close to Nagia's proficiency on this champion.
Yeah, we'll have to see. as early shove does go Cerberus's way in the bottom side. Kind of surprising. The level 1 in the Lovers Lane is actually quite strong.
Yeah, Aphelios doesn't have an ability level 1, so certainly looks like a little bit of a misplay. I would assume you could just double W.
I mean, taking Q at level 1 for Eddie is already a sign that something went wrong.
Yeah, double W is usually really strong with the added bonus to both champions to make them super strong together. But yeah, they lose the early push into Artemis Ronopi, and this will now mean level 2 Aphelios can fight back. The priority in bot lane should be secured for a while now for Cerberus.
Yeah, we do see Pun doing well, landing those Nitofo strikes. Managing to get some damage onto Hero, but of course it is kind of just tickles back and forth for both sides at the moment.
Oh,
he's doing a good job, though. Just really keeping up that harass.
Missed the cannon, though. This
tragic.
chroma is quite cool. I like the purple. Nice on the eye. As Yado is actually pushing in early on, using a lot of mana. As you can see, he started with Corrupting Pot just to instantly burn through all his mana, get through the early levels, because Talia before level 9 is maybe 60% of a champion. It's not great. Then it gets much, much better once you max out that Q. So just really trading early potion stacks against push, which is nice, because now level 4, he made his way back into the into his base, got the tier early on, so now he should be able to poke much more easily, shove much more easily. So I like this early execution from Yado. Very non-interactive, but yeah, he played his champion exactly how it's supposed to be played.
Yeah, he did really well there. An engage from Juhao comes in. Ronopi diffuses most of it, but Artemis is still taking a lot of damage. So that early push has ping-ponged back to be in favor of Team Secret now.
That interaction makes me very curious about the rest of the lane, because Ronopi flaked him out of his W, but the W still used the knock-up effect afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
That is very interesting, because that doesn't happen into some of the other support champions. I know Nautilus just cuts out the knock-up effect instantly, but it seems like Thresh doesn't do that.
It depends when it hits him. It depends when it hits Rakan. He had kind of already put like one hand on the ground, which means it can't be cancelled anymore.
Okay.
If you get him while he's like flying, it'll cancel it completely. But because Flay has that little wind-up, it's a little bit harder to time than something like a Nautilus hook.
That makes the matchup much more interesting than I thought it would be. I thought Thresh had the upper hand there, countering the engaged, but if that's the interaction, that is a little bit more risky for Artemis and Ronopi to play. And as you pointed out, honestly, in every Xayah lane, at some point Xayah is going to shove, because her passive feathers piercing through all the minions. It's just more shove than any other ADC can bring. Maybe Tristana can compete, but yeah, Xayah now getting the better recall. Artemis has to push another wave. Now with Flamethrower, that should be really easy.
That's pretty easy, yep.
There we go. So both just executed minions left, right, and center, and a quiet early game. 5 minutes, nothing has happened.
Yeah, it is just chill. Let's talk about this jungle for a second, because Cerberus has also been having some jungle swaps. Drakthar is on the Rift, playing the Viego. What do you think about that decision?
So, to me, after watching Cerberus interact with their junglers a little bit more, it seems like Drakthar is still firmly the number one jungler, their main jungler, because they only played Ego in the 2 games against Box. And honestly, counting Box games for serious player swaps isn't really something you should do. Everyone knows Box is not on the level as all the other teams. You can kind of just test out some stuff against Box, because they're just not good enough to compete right now, unfortunately. So I feel like for now we have to say that Drakthar is the starting jungler, and he has had really good results and really good performances in the last few weeks. So I don't fault them for going Drakthar. I feel like Ego's ceiling is probably still much higher, but as long as Drakthar is gelling with the team and executing his or performing well on stage, sure.
I mean, I still just think it's a bit of a tragedy that those 2 players are on the same team.
Oh yeah, look at Secret.
Because,
Secret would pay anything to get either of those players.
Yeah, can you imagine if Secret? I mean, Secret getting Ego, like Eddie might be killed. I mean, like Ego is such a big just what if. Like if that guy can just get his head screwed on straight, he could legitimately be like one of those players that goes to the LPL and is like S of M.
Yeah, I mean, he could be the next big jungler in line, right? We didn't really have, we haven't had that huge breakout jungler. We have a lot of good junglers. Jungler is one of the most stacked positions and has always been in VCS, but we haven't had the next jungler in line since SOFM to Levi, and now we were thinking Ego, we were thinking BJ maybe, but no one has really broken through. But Ego has actually beaten Levi. He's the only one. Okay, I guess, yeah, Ego was actually the one on both teams that beat Levi. So I guess Yijin, but Yijin was kind of old guard and flashed that one split. So BJ hasn't done it. And yeah, that always makes Ego interesting. But maybe Druktha can actually step up to be that one, because so far his performance has looked good enough to maybe even contest against Gun.
It's very possible, as he will, as we talk about it, steal away a blue buff. Doing well there, denying a little bit from Sorn. Sorn as well, another interesting jungler. I didn't think he was allowed to play yet, but apparently we got proven wrong last week that he absolutely is. Another one in Team Secret's just stable of junglers. This is a jungler you and I used to rant and rave about.
I love this jungler. This was my first favorite player of the league. Okay, I'm a caster. I shouldn't have favorite players, but obviously, if you watch every game, you always have favorite players. And back in 2019, we cast every single game, so we actually watched every...
I still can't believe we did that.
We actually watched every game Sorn played. So for a very long time, he was my favorite jungler. Especially in spring and summer 2019. With his Nidalee performances, I absolutely loved him on those aggressive junglers, but that's now 4 years ago. He doesn't really bring the edge anymore. I don't think he has the mechanical difference between him and other junglers to do the same things. We have so many good new junglers that weren't in the league back then, right? We have Killer Queen, we have Druktha, we have... Levi is still super good. So the competition has gotten even stiffer, and he has gotten older. He has... Maybe his hands haven't quite held up.
Yeah, at that decrepit, ancient, disgusting age of 24.
Hey, 24 for VCS player is really old.
That's like positively decrepit. I agree. There was a gank attempt in the top side. It doesn't quite work out. Flash for Ghost traded. Pun will take that. Short of cooldown on his summoner, of course. Didn't use his all out either. Just didn't have the good chance to drag Hero back, evidently.
And I'm kind of missing Gum against SPTC right now, because we're 10 minutes in and absolutely nothing has happened.
Need somebody to hit somebody, I agree. It's all even in the lanes as well. Very slight differences. Sorn is here, but Druktha close enough to reinforce, but there is a big old gank squad. Oh, he was standing.
He might still die.
It might not matter though. They catch on to him and he will go down. First blood goes over to the Rakan, and oh no, here's Viego. The resets are coming and he's out of there.
Nicely done from Druktha. Actually, really good Azir play.
Really nice.
Yeah. Oh, he still has some soldiers to defend his tower, but it's a bit risky. Let's see what Secret can do.
Well.
It's probably just some gold split, but why have they transitioned everyone into mid lane? Look at bot lane, and meanwhile, that Aphelios is dangerously close, and Eddie...
Oh, Eddie caught! Has to burn that cleanse. How many tower plates has he gotten in the bot side?
We need to see that. I think it wasn't the correct decision to keep the bot lane into mid. You should have instantly... Yeah, that was a really unfortunate one. But he buys enough time to actually give this kill over to Druktha, and then Druktha ults back to reset and buys so much time. Really nicely done, Druktha. It wasn't an insane mechanical play, but he does have the awareness to figure out how to walk away. And it's just a 1-for-1 in kills, and look at that tower. That's down to 2 plates. So Aphelios just could funnel 3 plates for free.
Overall, I think that's actually a pretty big win for Cerberus. The gold is just in such better places. Like, yes, First Blood is more gold, but it went on to Zhuhao. It went on to the Rakan compared to a Viego and Artemis getting 3 plates. I think you take that trade every day of the week.
Absolutely. Oh, Hero might have a solo kill angle here. Oh,
nah, he doesn't have... He's exhausted. I don't think he can do it. He can't risk getting dragged under tower from the all-out.
Yeah, that's true. I still have to adjust to this champion. He dashes so many times and does so many weird things, so it's a bit dangerous to play against him, but the next dragon's coming up in 30 seconds.
Ryan finally figured out how to make people play tanks. Make them fun. Took them 10 years. but they made a tank that has a fun kit.
I really like Cassante. I think they really hit Cassante. Cassante, I mean, okay, he came out OP, and a lot of people are still on the train of, oh, he's so OP, he dashes so many times. Fair enough. That's always a little bit of the problem. As we have a catch.
Oh, a good catch there onto Sorn. He dashes away, but gets immediately pulled back. And that's another kill now for Drakthar. That'll be a dragon for Cerberus. They move up to 2. Lovely, lovely team play.
Chef's kiss from Ayado's execution there. Held the W, didn't use the W at the start, waited for Sedrani to dash into his pebbles, and then used the W to put him back. Just beautiful execution. Another kill for Drakthar. We talked about Drakthar against Ego. And if Drakthar plays like this on one of his best champions, to be fair, then why would you put an Ego? You have a great jungler.
Yeah, it's very true. And look at this lovely knockback. Just reads it perfectly. Bang.
Yep. I mean, Sorn was probably dead either way, but just beautiful execution. Good to see. Dragon went over to Cerberus as well, and they're playing such a comfortable game. It's very slow, it's very steady, no risks taken, just steady laning performances. They're not the most explosive team. I think this is one of the biggest differences between Artemis and Shogun. Artemis and Dronopi are very good bot lane. They can stand up to everyone, but they usually don't play that hard for to win lanes, while Taki and Shogun play much, much harder to win lanes and really push home their advantages early game. Artemis usually goes even in CS, maybe a bit ahead, gets platings, and just scales very comfortably. So he's a little bit more mature in terms of how he plays lane, but I think Taki and Shogun together are probably the better bot lane. Jury is out who of the two is the better ADC right now. I think it's gonna be a cool split to watch for ADC performances. But if you look at all the gold, if you look at how Cerberus is doing in this game, they have the gold in exactly the right positions, jungle and ADC. They're scaling up into the Dragon Snowball, and it's not looking like a stomp, but it's looking super comfortable.
Yeah, it's looking like Cerberus are just controlling the pace of play at the moment, and I think that's where they're very happy. They've got a Viego getting ahead. I was a little bit sus on the Viego pick. I know you're saying that, oh, it's coming back, it's coming back. I still don't 100% believe you. I think the VCS just love Viego.
What is going on here?
Wall's been built. Not the best execution there.
Just a quick little somersault on top of Eddie. Eddie's like, why is there Talia on my head? Hello? Talia?
Just spooking him.
No one was hitting anyone, and Eddie just walks away with all the summoners and ultimate available, but yeah, why not? Just search for the angle, maybe you get him another day. That interaction showed where...
Oh? Okay, Artemis, just building some chakrams.
Artemis is burning through his weapons very quickly, which is rather interesting. They
2 minutes for Dragon.
Yeah, they might concede this objective. Or no, the call is coming in. They want to contest. The Herald is the fighting option.
Yeah, they're going to move forward. I think with that TP, with that catch, they've got no chance, though. Rono P, he has to go gold early. Can he flash away? He can. Ooh, Drakthar heartbreaks over the wall, but gets stunned anyway. Hero bearing down on him. Eddie in trouble. There's a kill coming forward. Yado buying space. Cerberus, I think that was just a bit misguided there.
Yeah, Pun wasn't even there. He just sprinted up, literally activated Ghost to run to his team, just to see everyone else running away. He's a bit angry with the team call, probably, investing his summoner spell and just walking up while the rest of his team walked away. Cerberus kind of got away with more people than they should have. It's only 1 kill on Ronopi. Drakthar somehow skittles away from this fight. Look at how low he got at the start of the fight, but Hero doesn't quite have the damage to execute him. Oh, another flash from Sorn, so close to killing Drakthar. That's flash from both top side players for the dragon fight coming up. So once again, we might have seen a little bit of an over-aggression in terms of flash usage when Dragon is on the menu in just about a minute.
Possibly, but at the same time, they still do get that second Herald. They can use that to drop it in mid just before the Dragon to buy themselves the entry to the river. Let's see how they want to play it out. At the moment, Vision is in control of Cerberus on that side of the map, but we're still that minute away.
Yeah, and while the game felt in Cerberus' control, it's actually Secret with a minor gold lead, and all their items are coming together, so if they can execute in team fights, then they are in a really good position to win the game too. We are just live in this world where we've seen so much of the Cerberus team that we know that team fighting can make up for quite a bit of gold deficit, so we expect them to win, but honestly, Secret hasn't been a bad team fighting team either, so maybe they can actually show us a good performance in this mid game and get out of this downward spiral with their jungle position problems and them falling down and losing match after match after match. It's gonna come down to this dragon fight, which is coming up in 10 seconds.
We'll have to see where they go. There's the Herald drop down, breaks open mid, and there's a fairly big wave here that Artemis needs to just quickly clear out, so they won't be taking pride of place in the river quite yet. It gets 2 charges. Actually pretty good there. The Azir Tower as well, making Cerberus funnel through the jungle if they want to get near. Nah, is gone, you're right. Hero, they can't see him at the moment. So
still good positioning from Secret. Really good positioning.
Yeah, they've got full control over this.
Cerberus might call it off here. Yeah, it looks like Cerberus is giving up this dragon. Took too much time to clear out this Azir turret, which brought some extra pressure. So, Secret able to stop and hold the Dragon Snowball. For now, Cerberus choosing to play it safely. They're not a VCS team. They are just here. They're faking their Vietnamese citizenship, because why are we not fighting for Dragon every time we can? I'm not sure what we're watching, but Cerberus just playing a very mature style of League of Legends. They decided it's a little too risky to walk into that Dragon Pit right now, so Artemis is only sitting on 1 item. Let's just scale up and play it safely.
And I think that makes a lot of sense.
Too much sense, in my opinion. Too much sense.
Ooh, a catch does come in onto Artifact. Doesn't work out though. He just managed to just flash over the wall quickly.
Yeah, Yado's Talia performance, he had this one really good shuffle, but so far all the roams he's attempted haven't really worked out in his favor. It's not like they have to. Talia nowadays scales super well into teamfights, especially into the likes of Na and Sejuani and Rakan who want to dive in. So it's not like he has to do stuff, but it's still a little bit of a quieter, a little bit of a limp performance from the side of Yado, who really is struggling to find his angles.
It's true, but I'm sure they'll get it together. Once the real team fights start coming through, that wall is obviously still super valuable as the game goes on and he gets a little bit more damage under his belt. Looking at the other side, it's someone we should always be talking about when we have Team Secret on the Rift. Artifact on the Azir has the Leandries completed. How does the Azir interact with this composition from Cerberus?
Azir is the one wild card in this team, I'd say, because all the other champs are very short-ranged, very engaged. Like their mind is on engaging, and Azir can be an engager, but he can also be the backline carry, the hyper carry of the DPS. And that can be the one thing that will give Cerberus' composition trouble, especially if you look at the likes of Artemis, whose range is not quite as long as Azir's. So if Artifact manages to stay back and play for DPS, I feel like he could be the main carry in the teamfights, more so than Eddie, who's gonna be more of a disruption, trying to set up the feathers and trying to combo, while Azir is just there, putting up the soldiers and being the main damage dealer. So I think that's the interaction of those two champions together, and the potential for Team Secret's composition is quite high. They have so much damage in the late game.
Yeah, it is a hell of a lot of damage. See how it goes. Eddie is not too far away from that 2-item power spike, is going the Navori, so you don't have to get upset.
Of course he is. He's the best Zarya in the league. He knows how to build Zarya.
Best Zarya in the league, better than Artemis. Okay.
It's his one special champion that I always praised Eddie for. I think his Zarya understanding is really, really good.
Okay. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. But still, it's just a bold call saying anyone's better than Artemis on any ADC. But I don't necessarily disagree, regardless.
Speaking of Artemis, he's cooking. I'm not sure what he's cooking, but he is certainly...
He is cooking. What is he cooking?
Double crit cloak. It's not a bad build. It can, especially if you go IE, but you don't have the money right now to finish IE. Just a little bit of extra crit with all the AD you get for free on this champion gives him more consistent damage. So I guess that's where he's going. It looks kind of stupid though. If you look at his inventory, those double cloaks, I'm not sure where he's putting them. One on each shoulder, I guess.
He's just really cold. He's just got 2. It's like when it's 10 degrees in winter and you need 2 blankets.
10. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's cold.
Yeah. Sure. Can relate. It's not 2 degrees right now in the middle of March. Nah. That wouldn't be the thing.
It was 29 degrees today.
I hate you. Freaking 2 degrees. It was freezing last night, by the way. It's March. Can we please get plus 10 degrees now? Where's my buff? Where are my patch notes?
Please, buff Germany weather.
Yeah, honestly.
I think they've been trying to balance that for years and never really managed.
Supposedly coming next few days, but speaking of supposedly coming, the dragon fight is coming up, and once again they have a Vizier turret right in the middle of that mid lane. A little early this time though. Artemis might be able to cut through that turret with his green gun. No, so far doesn't find the angle. And green-purple is good for catching. It's not great for team fighting, so Artemis might have to go and concede another dragon because his weapon combo is not the greatest. But
he is about to drop this green.
Yep, green is going away.
Yep, so now he has red-purple. Not the worst, but they may well give it up and just take this tower.
Red-purple is a setup weapons. It's not hard carry weapons. So if you have another big carry, another big damage dealer in your team, red-purple can actually be quite good. Because it's really easy to get purple on a lot of people with red, especially on divers. But you don't really deal the same damage as blue and white. So right now, Artemis kind of losing out on the rotation of his own weapons. A rare mistake. We don't really see Aphelios, and especially Artemis on Aphelios, do these kind of weapon rotation mistakes in timing the dragon perfectly. And it's another free one for Team Secret.
Yeah, Team Secret have stabilized. I think the thing to keep in mind is that it's Chemtech Drakes. They kind of suck your way.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the individual dragons are fine.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
What do they do again? They give you heal and shield power?
When you're below, like, 30... Is it 50% health?
I think that's the extra damage. I think heal and shield power is always. But it's not that big of a deal in this composition, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, they're alright. They're not great. I think the best individual stacks, in my opinion, are still either Mountain or Hextech. I think Hextech is just insane. 9% attack speed and 9 ability haste is so good on every single champion in the league, so I love Hextech individual dragons, but of course some others are also quite good. Early Ocean Soul, or early Ocean Drake, really valuable for laning phase. This one, I still feel like they need to redesign this dragon. I dislike both the individual effect and I also dislike the soul. Because the soul is completely passive and all the other souls are active. So yeah, I feel like the soul has missed the mark for me. Let's see. Maybe they go back to redesigning this one. At least it's better than the original one.
Just go back to release. Yeah. I still say the original Chemtech Soul wasn't that bad. The revive wasn't that bad. It was strong, but it wasn't that bad. The real problem was the Rift. The Rift was an abomination.
The Rift was an abomination. I agree.
I think if the Rift if they had this Rift with the Soul, people wouldn't have hated it as much.
I mean, the Soul got nerfed. In the end state, I feel like the Soul was kind of fine. The problem is, once again, they released way too strong, and everyone was still thinking about the release Soul, while they actually nerfed it down later.
I mean the last one.
Yeah, the release Soul was unbelievable.
But the release was on pre-season.
Yeah, that's fair. And Cerberus might have just snuck into Baron while Team Secret was completely unaware. They just cleared the Baron away.
Yeah, walled off, and it's smited. They've just stolen it your way. Highway robbery.
This Cerberus team is so smart. You can't praise them enough. They play a super defensive style of League, which is not the most interesting to watch, but if you look at the intricacies and the way they make decisions together and really are all on the same page all the time, even though we might not like their decisions, their synergy is insane. And this Baron call was so unbelievably smart. I want to know who made it, because Team Secret had full control of the Baron and then moved away, thought, okay, we just cleared the Baron, no way they go for it. Instantly Cerberus collapses, instantly they go for the Baron. First big objective pickup for them in more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, now this mid tower under siege. One more shot from the cannon will take it down. Perfect. And I feel like that one call has really turned this game on its head, at least for the next few minutes. Drakthar, don't die. Whatever you do. He won't. Gets into his mist. He's okay.
Hero just had no idea what was on the other side of the wall. It still jumped over. Cool. Okay, I think he's getting bored a bit. That was risky. But, I mean, we're looking at 2 against 2 kills in the VCS at 28 minutes.
I know. This is positively LCS levels.
I'm not sure if there's anything positive about that, but yeah.
You can't say LCK anymore. LCK has actually gotten a lot more active. It's not accurate anymore to say LCK is super slow. It's LCS levels.
It's a good old Dignitas against CLG game or something here.
At least we're not as bad as the EU yet.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Oi.
I mean, if G2 can win your league, you can't be that good, right? Your way.
Okay, let's go back to this one.
For any G2 fans out there, don't actually have anything against G2. Just want to get it your way. Don't blame me.
I'm a big Vitality fan now. I don't care about G2 anymore.
You just like perks.
I do like perks, yeah. Well, it seems like Secret
under siege. Artemis with the huge shield because of that bloodthirster. He is kind of unstoppable. Has a lantern to keep him safe, and this is starting to break.
Oh, Hero wants to make something happen. He's bored again. Can he find the engage?
He's only on pun. He gets all outed backwards. He just dies. On the other side, they do get
no.
has a lantern.
No, he can't stay alive for this.
The backside, they go big all out across the wall. It actually wasn't the first all out. As wall coming through, doesn't quite work out on the Pun going for a chase. They get the damage down. Sword will die. Onto the Azir they go. Lovely Cassante play being demonstrated by Pun. Absolutely fantastic from the Cerberus top laner.
This reeked of desperation for the side of Secret. They played so defensively too, but they just knew they were losing the map slowly but surely. After this, Baron Cerberus really off to the first big lead of the game, and it's still only 4K, but it looks like the game is just over.
It does a little bit. It really feels like as soon as Team Secret lost their footing a little bit, they were just unable to regain it. Let's have a look at this replay. It starts with Hero going on an adventure.
And honestly, it looks like Hero is completely isolated from his team, but if you look only on the positioning of his team members, they weren't too far away, but they can't go anywhere close to him because of the Talia zoning, because of Thresh zoning, so in the end, he gets isolated, and look at this damage from Yada and Pun. That was quite insane. Azir also dashes into Talia. He gets stunned instantly, has to defensively ult away, so a series of unfortunate circumstances for Secret, and they weren't even close to teamfighting, really. They were just picked off one after the other. A little bit of fun for Pun, who traveled the whole rift with his ultimate. And in the end, Cerberus walk away with a 5k gold lead, another dragon, and mid lane inhibitor tower broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking very, very good. A minute and a half on the Baron. Oh, they're going to try and make a play, but again. It's on to Pun. There's a lantern as well. Sorn takes a little bit of damage, and now the wall goes up. They can isolate Hero. He's mega, but he's not tanky. Can they get that last bit of damage? In comes the ult and burns him down.
It's not over. Pun is here.
Yeah, they're bored. They want to finish this. As Pun moves forward, Azir ult should put paid to that, though. I don't think they can keep catching. Drakthar needs to be careful. Could get turned on, but
we do not talk about Yado Flash. Yado has had a bit of fun there. This reminds me so much of something like this Season 7 game of Korea against, I don't know, an A or G or U. Nothing ever happens in the early game, and then team fights happen, the Korean team just wins. This is this is textbook old school League of Legends, and that's exactly what Cerberus is known for. Build strong team compositions around your ADC, play front-to-back team fighting, win every team fight, win the game. It's not exciting, but it's really well played, so what can we say?
Yeah, Like, yeah, it's not what we're used to. We have to learn how to cast games like this. 5 years deep into our careers, but uh, but it's not bad. It's good League of Legends, as it's very hard for Team Secret to find a sort of a chink in the armor. Now they're now, 4K gold down at 32 minutes. That's not that
It's
bad. But they're
nothing.
also facing down Soul Point. And I just feel like they haven't really been able to get their footing in any fights.
Yeah, big credit to Yado for all his secret zoning in teamfights. I feel like he has disabled all of their champions all the time. Yado, yet now on the backside.
Yeah, this Baron is low. Is gonna start healing. There it is. Pun chunked down pretty badly. They get onto Artemis, but they don't actually do any damage to him. He has that blue gun going. Viego taken down. Hero low. Can they go?
Oh, what? No!
Lovely hook! Straight onto the Azir. Eddie has to use the ultimate just to buy himself some space.
Uh-oh.
But Pun is on the hunt. He's gonna take himself some feathers.
Wait, he could win. Maybe.
Come on, buddy. Woo!
That was pretty close. That was pretty close. Eddie tried. In the end, Cerberus win again. This one wasn't as convincing, but it might be the end of the game anyway.
It may well be, as Yano takes a bit of damage but deals even more. But Artemis hitting a tower, it's like he hasn't even been in a team fight. As he is full health, he is thriving, he is moisturized, he is in his lane. As they are on the Nexus and they are going up 1-0 over Team Secret. Cerberus doing Cerberus things and winning themselves this game.
A little bit of a confusing game, but very well played from Cerberus. And at the end, in the last two teamfights, you could see Cerberus was very sure of themselves. They knew they would win, because both Artemis and Yado flashed back-to-back into the wall for nothing, but they knew there was nothing that could ever come close to them, so I don't want to say easy game, because honestly it was a 35-minute game and it was never really that far apart in terms of gold. We can take a look at the gold graph right now. That was very quick. Please don't bring it up this quickly. I can't produce that easily, but only 9-3 in kills, and you can see gold lead actually for Secret for most of the game, but then 2-3 team fights and the game's just over.
Yeah, and I mean, It might not be the kind of League of Legends we're used to in the VCS. It might not be the kind of League of Legends we love from the VCS, but it's damn good. It's clinical. It's clean. It's Cerberus, and they take a 1-0 lead. And if we're ready, Mr. Your Way producer,
give me a few.
It's okay. I can ramble. It's all right. As they do put themselves there. This is Cerberus, the team that nearly beat Garm. Garm obviously is 6-0 at the moment, but Cerberus got close. It was a close series between them, and to see if they can close it out against Team Secret, we'll be back in just about 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. This is VCS English. back, everybody, to another excellent game of VCS. Once again, my name is Karis. With me is the unstoppable, beautiful, amazing Your Way. And it's 1-0 Cerberus taking the first game over Team Secret in... I was going to say dominant, but that's not correct. I was going to say convincing. I think it's convincing.
It was both of those things, but it was dominant in a way that we just haven't really experienced much on the VCS. There was no doubt really ever in the game that they would win, right? So that is rather dominant. But they weren't in a major lead for 99% of the game, so it's really hard to navigate talking about this game because there was no doubt in my mind that Cerberus would win the team fights and play better than Secret there and win the game. But if you just looked at the stats, it didn't actually look that Cerberus favored across the Rift.
It was just so incredibly controlled. Team Secret never looked like they were able to make anything happen. Cerberus, everything that did happen in the game looked like it was on Cerberus's decision. But we're into draft for game 2. Nautilus, Draven, Tristana, Elise removed. What are you looking for here, Team Secret champions?
Could be another Zarya first pick here. It's really hard because you kind of need to have better carries to win against Cerberus because you know they're gonna make the game slow. But can you really try to get there with Eddie against Artemis? And even Artifact against Yado right now, form-wise. So another approach would just be to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Maybe a hard early game composition, maybe a topside composition. Hero hard carry with Camille or something, Vladimir even. I'm not even sure if Vladimir is playable right now, but Annie is open, and Pointed CC against the best AD carry in the league sounds like a decent option too, so maybe that's their approach. Unfortunately, Zarya's open, so Zarya into Annie is an insta-lock. As you can see, Artemis instantly going there because Zarya deals with the Annie stun quite easily.
It's true, it makes some sense. Also, I mean, it's just Artemis and Zarya. Takes it away from Eddie as well. So I think it works on a lot of levels Your Way, as well as Drakthar getting his Wukong, something he's traditionally been fantastic on, is also very strong at the moment. Cerberus, not too unhappy with these first 2 picks, I should say.
Yep, if you look at Zarya, Wukong, you see team fighting, you see Cerberus, you're happy. So instead of that, we go Lucian Army, which has a horrible win rate, but not quite as bad as Zarya. So let's see which of these two underperforming ADCs can do better in this game. Lucian Army against Zarya Rakan. A pretty spicy lane matchup where a lot can happen. Lucian Army usually win raids start level 3-4, but Zarya Rakan can all in, especially if they get on top of Nami. Nami dies rather quickly. So a lot can happen in that bot lane. We might see, once again, a lot of bot lane attention from both junglers.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to see Lucian Nami. It's something we really haven't seen too much priority on at all, but maybe they just really feel like they need that power in the lane. Viego banned away. Obviously, Drakthar already secured his jungler. Just wants to remove good ones for Sorn. Where's Sorn going? Sejuani's already gone. Viego taken away. Where do you expect Sorn to end up?
Sorry. I was dying over here, sorry. Something got stuck in my throat. So, Sorn is not going back to the bench, which is the first surprise to me, but which kind of champion is he gonna play? Maybe we actually finally get to see a bit of the carry Sorn we would like to see. Because all the normal options are kind of gone. He could go Vi. He could go Lee Sin. One of the two is rather likely, paired with the Annie. Yeah, I think Lee Sin Annie sounds like a decent engage comp for the mid lane.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's see if he's confident enough to go on it. Of course, he does have those boomer hands. Yado getting a Victor. Nice scaling pick for him. Suits him very, very well.
Very easy to gank though. And Annie, Lee Sin together could terrorize this Victor. So I feel like this Victor is a bit of a worry. Oh no, please no. Yeah, the Victor pick.
Oh,
The Victor pick seems a bit worrying for the side of Cerberus because it seems like Yado doesn't have anything else to play there. The Victor is just the fallback option, which is fine, but scary.
it is, but we're going Nocturne. We're going potentially Nocturne and Fiora.
Camille,
No.
Nocturne, Camille, the old Team Secret combo. The one
Nocturne,
they
yeah, I mean, that is classic Team Secret if they do go to Camille. Renekton, I think, also makes a lot of sense, given that they are blind. The Nocturne is interesting, though.
I think we've only picked champions with less than 40% win rate. The only one that's way higher is Wukong, so judging of just that completely useless stat, it's probably Cerberus win. But K'Sante has also struggled so far, as we can see, 38% win rate. Should do fine into Renekton though, so once again, Pun K'Sante. He's one of the few players in our league that actually likes to play this new tank champion. Other than Pun, it's mostly Nagia, and then we haven't seen much K'Sante at all from all the other players. Not something Kiaya is favoring, not something Yoshino is playing, or Asmut has played a few, but they all were pretty bad games, so it's nice to see a little bit more of K'Sante. But I am really confused by this Team Secret composition. Nocturne, Lucian, Nami, Renekton? Okay. Okay.
It's weird. It's very strange. Like, I mean, it's pretty powerful if Nocturne gets to level 6 fairly quickly and you just go gank the bot lane. Lucian Nami with a Nocturne flying in like a missile, that seems like a kill. But it's also into a Xayah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Nocturne actually has a decent interaction into Xayah ultimate because his E sticks on her, even through her invulnerability. So that's one thing you can do. Try to get on top of Xayah, force her ultimate, and then she gets out of her ult instantly stunned, or feared, I should say. Still, I feel like they're... I'm sorry. Over-indexing into dive a bit with Xayah. We have Gravity Field, we have Xayah Ultimate, we have Xayah Feathers, and you're diving straight into all of that? Ooh, it's quite dangerous.
But on to the Rift we go for Game 2 of Cerberus and Team Secret. Cerberus looking to cement themselves as firmly second place. Team Secret looking to prove that they are not second to last place. But at the moment, after Game 1, it's hard to see Team Secret in any other way.
Yeah, the downfall of Team Secret is really worrying for them because they've been a constant threat in playoffs. They've never made finals, they've never made it super far in playoffs, but they have been the third best team last year, and they challenged Saigon Buffalo to multiple very close series, and even Gum in that one series where Gum went down. They had to overcome Secret, so they've been a staple of our playoffs, and right now it's not looking likely for them to make playoffs. If they end up 2-4, that's pretty far away from the likes of Cerberus and Gum already.
Ooh, knock-up landing onto Eddie. Can they land a bit of damage? They can. Lucian Nami not too happy about being set that low early.
That's really annoying for them. Especially into Rakan, who's not that great of a champion in terms of trading early on. Nami should definitely have the better of him, but that's...
level 1 with Xayah.
Yeah, and that's 2 potions forced already, which means once they hit level 3, Nami is under a lot of pressure. She probably has to flash one of the engages later, so good setup for Artemis and Veronica. They know exactly how to play this one.
That they do. They're just going to have another crack with the W's back up. Cleanse used, burning the flash from Eddie. Artemis took a hell of a lot of damage tanking minions there. Flash forward from Zhu Hao. Burns his own flash. And has to recall.
Artemis probably didn't have to flash there, because Eddie's flash was down. I don't think Eddie ever gets in range to execute him, and Zhu Hao doesn't have the damage, level 1. A little overly cautious, but better safe than sorry, I guess. It's double flash blown for the side of Team Secret, so an early gank gets all the more likely for Druktha, because that Rakan still has his flash available. Flash W onto the Nami. They have nothing to disrupt the Rakan engage. That should almost be a secured kill. Like, that should be a guaranteed kill in a gank situation.
Well, we'll have to see if they can make that situation appear. Looking up at the top side, of course, Hero is going to have lane control. It's Renekton, it's a tank. It's just how it's going to be. Yardo doing well in mid. Where are you looking, aside from that bot lane which we've talked about, where is any other locuses of action?
So, with the Nocturne instead of the Lee Sin or some other, or Vi even, we can't really look for early mid lane ganks that easily. I don't think, I mean, Nocturne could flash QE on top of Yado, but Yado has his own flash to react to that, so not entirely sure if there is another option than bot lane. I feel like both teams are very, very focused on that bot lane matchup that's volatile now that all the flashes are blown. Lances as well, so don't really expect anything else to happen for now. Both junglers seem to be fine, just farming away.
Yeah, everyone seems fairly happy. Bot lane, first better reset has gone to Eddie, extra longsword and a dagger. So that Lucian Nami, after the interesting level 1, I think they're in a pretty good position now. I don't think there's a huge amount of threat that Cerberus can put onto them.
Yeah, I still expect Drogthar to at least pay a visit to the lane.
Sure.
Already a bit surprised he hasn't tried to capitalize on the two missing flashes, because I really think Nami without flash, with Ronopi having flash available and disengage being almost guaranteed, should be a kill rather easily. And here we go, Drogthar and Ronopi from behind this time. Uh-oh, yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh, this could be big as they come in. They want to section onto Eddie, who's just going to try and trade 1-for-1. But Artemis is able to just walk away. Drogthar now on top of Lucian. Artemis just has to be careful. Does it well, gets himself first blood.
And delivered into the waiting arms of Artemis. Ah, it's so beautiful to play when your team knows you're the best player on the team in the carry. And they set up everything just for you. That was a nice little snack.
Mustn't happen for you very often your way. But up on the top side, Pun just has to flash away from Hero.
Yep, Hero at his rage bar ready. This looks so scuffed. Eddie, I feel like Eddie makes the correct decision. He's dead 100%. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, at this point, I think he should run away. Because at this point, he's dead, but he could secure the kill for someone else than Artemis. Walking back in there has no positive. So he made the correct decision at the start to walk away from Zuhar, so Zuhar wouldn't die. But then in the very end, he gave the kill over to Artemis, which I think he could have avoided if he walked downwards. Because I don't think Artemis could have chased into him with low HP. Be it as it may, it's still a kill over to Artemis, and he is starting off with a nice little Xayah performance once again.
Very true. Hasn't actually put him super far ahead in terms of stats at the moment. Both of them are on the Noon Quiver. It's just that refillable potion between them. As looks like they really cashed everything in to get those items. Pun moving forward. Just getting some damage done. The all-out comes in because Drogthar's here. Can they get onto Renekton? He's in that Dominus.
Nope.
No, he gets a bit too much healing from Kaldameek, and he's out of there.
Drogthar falling behind in the XP curve. Only just hit level 5 with a little bit of taxing going on, so Zorn should have the upper hand in a potential river fight over Dragon or even Rift Herald. Rift Herald is still 2 minutes away, so Drogthar really should get to level 6 before then. And then you have a super strong level 6 ultimate, of course, but still a little bit worrying about Drogthar, this Drogthar hard focus on ganking. He should try to go back and farm a bit more. Because if he falls too far behind in terms of levels, Zorn can just isolate him and 1v1 him to death.
Ooh, we could have another play here, as Hero's actually just moved in to try and go aggro onto Pun, and with Zorn's back up, why wouldn't he? Easy kill there onto Pun.
Nicely done. Double flash, though. So once again, we have to be careful about the flashes being invested right before a big objective fight. This early in the game, though, it's always a positive, and we get the kill and the plating over to top and jungle.
For sure. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think they were going to fight for this dragon. I think they're fine giving one over to Cerberus in exchange for that gold, as you said. Nocturne as well, the next skirmish, he actually doesn't need his flash as much, just because he will have his ultimate to close the distance.
And Dragon actually delays Drogthar's experience gain, so he's now scrambling for that level 6. He's still not level 6. He might hit it after the Gromp, but then Gromp is pretty far away from the top side of the map, right? So right now, Team Secret in a better position to dominate the map early on and get that Rift Herald start. We see everyone is preparing to walk away and preparing for the Rift Herald fight. The double recall, of course, gives Artemis a little bit of a quicker recall. And yeah, I think we are looking at a potential big clash. Both teams are getting ready. Both teams are recalling. Everyone is walking up towards the top side.
Yeah, they are moving in. We'll have to see what they can actually get done. As at the moment, it is just the resets happening. Pun could be in some trouble. There is a paranoia that could bring a friend.
Pun is over pushing this top lane. He's in a very precarious position. He needs to be careful. He probably needs to back off this lane. Oh, Pun, please.
Careful, Pun, careful. He's okay.
Hence map state. Oh, Ronopi is back in bot lane though, and they slowly but surely, everyone is walking back. Team Secret just got the Herald. Cerberus was ready to contest, but no one actually went there. Instead, they once again have Artemis hit the tower. This is not Aphelios with White Gun though, so it's only going to be one, maybe two platings. Now that Ronopi is here to zone him away. Yeah, 2 platings for Herald is still a positive trait in terms of gold.
Yeah.
The Herald can open up the map though, so let's see how Team Secret utilizes that objective in their back pocket. Could go mid lane, open up for the next dragon in a few minutes.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And an engage has been found. Artifact having to flash 3 minutes before dragon, so that won't be up.
Oh, Draktha is still here. Draktha wants this. Draktha with the engage.
Draktha going in. They find their way onto Sword. Look at the damage. And he's taken off the map. Burnt the paranoia as well. The worst of both worlds.
Oh, it's so painful to watch. He used his ultimate for no reason whatsoever. He thought maybe he could walk away, but the spell shield too late to block the initial cast of the ultimate from Draktha, and then the spell shield is completely wasted as Draktha has yet another chase down. Oh, under tower. We have seen so many solo kills under tower for K'Sante. I think the crocodile is a bit too scary. Oh, you see? Sure.
Have to see, as the all-out still running, as is the Dominus. Okay, at the moment they're just staring each other down your way.
Okay, Artifact now without his flash. He is losing quite a bit of pressure to Yado. Yado has survived the early game. That's a bit scary. Every time you face Annie with an immobile mage, you are kind of looking at the first 10 minutes of the game and go, we can't win here. Speaking of not being able to win, Hero in a bad position.
Yep, he's in trouble, but Sword's here to save him. Pun just about getting away with that footwork.
You know what would have been nice here?
Neither of them go down.
Paranoia could have been quite good.
Would have been pretty great.
Yeah.
Ron OP in some trouble. Copped the wave and a lot of damage from Dissolution, but does manage to survive.
Back and forth, tit for tat in all the lanes. But we're still only looking at 3 kills, so this game is much more action-packed than the last one, especially in terms of early game skirmishing, but no one is killing the other, so we are still looking at a very low kill count. It could explode any time, though. I'm feeling much more tension in this game than the last one.
Yeah, this one doesn't feel like Cerberus is just in full control. It definitely feels like Team Secret is getting a nose into this one. I don't know if Artemis being a bit risky there. Did have ult, so he would have been okay. Let's look at the mid lane just quickly. It's not something we've talked about a huge amount. It is sort of just Victor doing Victor things.
Double Rod
Does have his Rod of Ages. Oh, could be in trouble as in comes Nocturne. Can Annie get close enough? Nope, not with the monkey moving forward.
Yeah, Son is not DNK. Son is not the Nocturne Master. There was never a kill there because Yado had flash. At least they get his flash, which could be nice because the dragon's coming up, but you also invested ultimate from Son now for the dragon, so I think Cerberus is still fine with this. And look at the vision and the bot lane positioning. Cerberus is certainly setting up another dragon snowball.
They are setting it up as they're pushing their vision deep. They're doing a good job there. Ron OP, Draktha, making sure this happens. More gold onto Artemis as
They're
well.
so good at this.
Yeah. They are so good at isolating the map so that Artemis can just hit tower plates.
Yeah, it's incredible to watch. Their understanding of how to funnel their ADC, their main carry, is unrivaled in the VCS, I'd say. Gam has some other macro they're really good at, but in terms of resource allocation, I think Cerberus has really mastered the way. Speaking of Master in the way.
Coming in, Trapthar tries to make it happen, and Artifact just goes down.
Well, and that's Dragon for free for Cerberus. Suddenly the game is back in their firm control. Just everyone winning out everywhere now, and Team Secret has lost a bit of the sauce in the last 2 minutes. Cerberus up to 2 dragons. Yado, okay.
Well, that might help them find their pasta.
True. A bit of damage, a bit of gold onto Eddie. Always nice. It's Illusion Army, strong in the mid-game, as we all know. 1 item finished, and Yado without his flash. Really just greeting so hard. Wow, yeah, come on, Yado. Come
You can see them as well. They were on a ward.
Yeah, I think, yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. Sinful smile creeping on his face there after dying completely unnecessarily in the mid lane. But it doesn't really matter much. It doesn't change much about the game. But a bit of gold into Eddie. Hopefully he can make something work with that extra gold.
But first brick to Artemis, solo.
That was 5 platings funneled into him, by the way.
Yeah. Yep, 5 plates, first brick into Azaya. Cerberus, like, being their ADC, like, when the game ends, do Rono P and Yado come over and lift him up so he doesn't have to use his legs?
Of course.
Carry him off the stage. Someone, Pun comes over with his favorite food, spoons it into his mouth.
Draktha goes over to his computer at home and just puts it on and checks all the settings, because of course Artemis can't bother Artemis with that. You need to know.
No. It has to be ready for when the king returns. But really, like, jokes aside, they know where their bread is buttered, and I think this is something that VCS teams in the past have struggled with. It's just like, just play around your carries, guys.
Honestly, I think it's a thing teams all across the globe struggle with. Being this cynical with your resource allocation, this straightforward with understanding where your power is coming from, is something not a lot of teams can do. A lot of teams have too much ego to admit this.
Oh, big engage comes in. Lovely stuff there, but is it a bit too much? As Rono P just kind of dies, Sorn turns out the lights, trying to turn it around. As hero, he's a real threat. Eddie moves in. Can he finish it off? No! Yes! He can, but now it's Artemis' time to shine. Look at all of these feathers. Pun as well, dealing a hell of a lot of damage with that all out. In the end, just the 2 for 2. Often it felt like it should have been a lot more.
Yeah, the engage looked beautiful, but just not enough early burst damage. I think Yado needs a few more items to make that work. Draktha also not quite the strong Wukong we've seen. Levi earlier today would have gotten a triple kill because he was 4-0 at the point, but the engage sense is nice, but the problem is Rono P is still a Rakan, so he goes down instantly, and then Xayah doesn't really get to hit the target she wants at the start. She plays it very safe, gets to stack up her lethal tempo, and then of course goes ultra aggressive mode. Artemis knows everything is dealt with. All the tools to stop him in team fights, to kill him in team fights, are gone at this point, so he is ready to flash forwards. This is also the instinct that Artemis has shown us so many times. He knows how to maximize damage and walks away with yet another double kill, but Team Secret not looking completely defeated.
No, not at all. The gold is still only 1,000 apart. There is a significant dragon lead for Cerberus, but it's not like it's not like when Gum wins games and it's just, they're 10,000 gold ahead. It doesn't actually matter who's the better team at this point, because they'll just wallet diff them. Cerberus has to keep hands diffing.
Yeah, also about the setup, of course, a bit, but they are really good at this. Yeah. They've been doing this for 2 years, so while, yes, they have to keep doing it, it's also something you would trust them to do, right? Because we've seen it so many times. We've seen hundreds of games of them doing just this, and now they're starting to set up the vision, very clean play. Into the enemy jungle it goes, 3 people, so no one gets caught alone. You slowly invade the jungle, get more and more vision. Yada is also pushing bot lane, you have mid control, so how is the enemy team ever gonna get close to this dragon? But they have to, because it's a 3rd dragon, so if you don't go for the dragon, it's probably a free soul point. So Cerberus just playing textbook League, but it's hard to counter.
It's very difficult to counter. You have to try and force a mistake, and Cerberus is just a team that doesn't do that. Or very rarely do that, at least. As They've grouped up, and guess what? Artemis is going to hit a tower.
And I think the funniest thing about this new Cerberus, the old Cerberus, I guess, is that a lot of people expected this to be the case last year with the 2 Koreans coming in, right? A lot of people thought, okay, they're going to play Korean-style slow League of Legends, as we have Secret.
Fight coming in, as the wave goes across, the Paranoia tries to get him into the backside. Can they do enough damage? They can to pun, but where's Artemis? That's the real question. Just landed back into base. So Team Secret doing a good job recognizing that the Xayah was not there and that it was an opportunity to pull the trigger.
Very good collapse for them. Get 2 towers, and they need to get the dragon too. If they can't get the dragon, but Drakthar...
Oh, Drakthar caught. Needs to try and find the way out, but he's feared. He's got a Nocturne bearing down on him. He doesn't die your way. He lives, and they kill Artifact in exchange. Eddie is so deep. For Artemis, there he is. He's on near full health. He is just fine. I don't know if the Team Secret can get this dragon. I think they have to reset. I think Cerberus has pride positioning.
Oh, not again. I really like the setup. They realize that Artemis has overstayed his welcome in botlane, instantly punish. They do have the engage tools. They have Nocturne, they have Annie, they have Renekton. They get in there, but it's only 1 kill on Pun. And Pun is probably the worst person to kill because he has TP. If you can't go to Dragon instantly, he will TP back. So they know, okay, we have to fight again. Artemis just came out of base, he's probably strong. They try to get the jungler, because if you kill the jungler, obviously they can't go for Dragon. And somehow Drakthar doesn't die. Somehow he stays alive even after the Q. It's just so unfortunate for Secret. And there's the Dragon secured by Cerberus.
And they are now on Chemtech Soul Point. That's a heartbreaker for Team Secret. That is a real heartbreaker.
But I like how they're showing signs of life, signs of fighting in them. They're not done with this series yet. Yes, they're on the back foot. Yes, the enemy team is favored. Yes, the enemy team is probably better right now. But at least they're showing up. They're making use of some of the missteps from Cerberus. Really good punish there. Secret has always been one of our better mid-game teams when it comes to lane setups and macro execution. And yeah, showing up with that yet again. Unfortunately, I think in terms of teamfight power, the window is closing. Look at the items for Artemis, look at the items for Yado. They're coming together, and it's gonna get harder and harder to kill them in teamfights.
Yeah, 100%. It's just going to get to the point where Artemis is able to press his ult, survive everything that Team Secret has to throw at him, and then just go absolute monster mode. But Team Secret are not quite at that point yet.
I just realized something.
Yes.
Oh, maybe we have a fight here. But take a look at Annie's itemization and tell me how the hell can she only have 4 stacks at 20 minutes?
That's a really good question, your way.
She's so far behind. That's a rod of ages as 26 minutes it's gonna be completed. How has she fallen so far behind?
That's a fantastic question, your way. I've been sort of preoccupied looking at other lanes. I haven't really looked at mid very much as, Cerberus flirting with the idea of Baron.
Yeah, a bit too dangerous. Don't have the Bloodthirster this time to tank forever. They don't really have to do it either. They know the way to win this game is gonna be the soul, of course. There's no way for the enemy team really to contest. They have to fight, so the Baron is just a little bit of an enticing little extra. It's the dessert you know you shouldn't have, but it just looks so tasty. So yeah, they're flirting with the idea of still taking Baron, but they really don't have to. The dragon is the bread and the butter that will lead them to the victory. It's the solid food. Maybe not the most exciting, but yeah, it's going to get them over the line. Butter
is the solid food. All right. Put that in the Your Way lore book. We know you have a weird relationship with butter. It's okay. I found out I'm lactose intolerant recently, so there's no butter for me.
I can't do milk, but butter is fine still, which I'm very, very happy about.
I mean, I can eat it. It just means I have to have a very angry conversation with my toilet later.
Poor toilet.
So sometimes it's worth it. As we roll back out onto the map, Both teams just, again, still just in that holding pattern, but I feel like the longer this goes on, the further Cerberus just pull ahead.
Yep, third item completed now for Artemis. Yada is done stacking his Rod of Ages. Can he get to level 16 before the dragon spawns? Most likely not, but if he can do that, that's a big power spike again for his ultimate. Looks like he's going to stay at level 15, unfortunately. But still, level 15, Victor with an extra shield. Look at his HP bar. That is very hard to kill. Artemis is always hard to kill with Flash, Cleanse, and Ultimate available. At the Gale Force, add all the damage he can deal. So it's the window is closing for Team Secret to find their fight.
Another tower gifted over to good Sir Artemis. More gold in the feathers.
The taxes are collected. This is his kingdom. He gets all the towers.
Yeah, true. He's a feudal lord. We'll have to see if the peasants can revolt and get on top of him, or if it is going to be just a bit of a closing out.
Really? Son? Really? Oh no.
Oh, there is an engage coming in. It's a lot of damage immediately, but look at Pun separating them out. The first kill is onto Artifact. Goes down. Hero in the middle of the enemy team, trying desperately to get something done. He can't. On the other side of the fight, Eddie does clean up Pun.
Okay, Yado.
That's just a little bit. Yado being very, very aggressive. Drakthar going in, buying a lot of space. A laser whipping across Eddie. Can they find him? I don't know if they will be able to. Oh, never mind. Drakthar flies forward, gets him good. Zhuhao, last man standing. That's going to be barren for Cerberus, and I think that might finally close the door.
They tried, but it was so disjointed too. Son, I mean, in general, Son hasn't looked great, I have to say. Even though he used to be my favorite player, I feel like Son's stay on Team Secret has not been at all what they hoped for, and this engage is just not it. They try to follow it up with Annie, and they do get the kill early on. There's actually a decent stun happening on the other side. Pan also just kind of misplaying his cards, just running away. Yeah, but Eddie is not here to hit the other members, and that means Zaya and Victor just get to out DPS everyone. Gado goes crazy, but as I said before, he's so tanky with this build. Here we go again. Bye-bye, Sorn.
Yep, Sorn has been caught out, taken down. They move forward. Can they get onto Artifact? They can. With that Rakan ult, and into the backside goes Drakthar and just eliminates Eddie. Yeah. Oh my word, it has well and truly cracked open. This plane is on. They've been in the holding pattern, and now they're rapidly approaching the ground.
I think that was a bit of an FF, a bit of tilt coming in for Secret. They haven't won a game all week, so this is one to forget. They lost against Flash. No, Flash won against SPTC. Doesn't matter. They lost their first series. Now they're on the brink of losing 0-2 to Cerberus yet again.
Yeah, this is going to be Cerberus wrapping it up. Hero trying to do the hero defense, but it has absolutely no chance. This is just stat padding here for Artemis as they hide on their fountain. The Nexus is exposed. The Nexus will soon fall. And Cerberus moves up to 5-1.
Ow.
Only having lost to Garm. And my oh my, are they making their mark on this league and proving themselves to be the challengers who were promised?
Oh, and I'm getting more and more hype for that rematch. It's still a few weeks away, but Cerberus getting better and better, beating everyone else, and Garm still staying on top undefeated. I want to see the clash between these two teams again. I think Cerberus is ready to take Garm on yet again. I want to see another best of 3. I want to see 2 best of 5s in the playoffs, whatever, because these two teams are looking really dangerous.
They absolutely are. These two teams are frightening, being Garm and Cerberus. When they clash, lightning should fly. Looking over at Team Secret before we dwell too long on Cerberus. It's not great.
Yeah,
it's not the worst.
I mean, okay, positives, as we could take a quick look at the stats, they are just as you would expect. Good stats for the 2 carries for Cerberus. Quite a lot of damage from Drakthar too, who I thought had really good team fights on the Wukong. Yet another Wukong victory, by the way. This champion is just ruling this league. The Monkey King is on top of everyone, as Nami and Lucian and Renekton Yet another loss. That is now 30% win rate for all of these champions. So really not working out for them. But on the other side, at least Zaya gets a win.
Yeah.
So
But
yes, to get back to the secret question, I feel like their early game is good enough. Their early game is decent. Their laning phase is decent. They just need to find synergy. They need to find purpose in game. They need to find good team compositions they're practiced on that they can execute, because the first step is there. They're not falling behind in lanes all that much. They were even against Cerberus, the second best team in the league. So honestly, Secret still looks rather competitive in the at the start of the game. They just have no teamfight synergy whatsoever, and I'm not entirely sure why.
yeah, it's. I mean, how many junglers can you plug into this team and have it not work before you realize that junglers maybe weren't the issue? And just cycling more and more of them isn't going to fix it.
And honestly, Penguin. Okay, we have some people who don't like Penguin as much. He's not the best jungler in the league. He's never gonna be. And maybe they just say, okay, if we play Penguin, we're gonna be playoff, but we can never contest for the title. That could be the read, and they could be saying, okay, Spring Split doesn't matter. We just want to get one good jungler in. But they looked way better with Penguin. I think there's no one who can contest that. They won series. They were decent with Penguin. They weren't great, but they were okay with Penguin. Now Son is coming in, and Son is just looking lost every single game, and the team looks much worse around him as well.
I completely agree. So just to wrap things up for tonight, what are your predictions for where these two teams are going?
I'm on the Cerberus hype train. I think this team is ready to fight for the title yet again. Right now, I would still predict them to be inferior to GAM, looking at the GAM games, but I think Cerberus can challenge, and I do think Cerberus has something a lot of teams don't have, which is a very clear win condition against GAM, which is team fighting and playing through Artemis, because Style is good, Style is a very good player, but Artemis is the harder carry. So I think that's very important if you want to challenge GAM. You need 1 point on the map where you can actually excel and overtake them. And I think Cerberus has that. They've shown us that they can do it in winter. So I'm super hyped for this matchup against GAM. As for Secret, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think Secret is just slowly withering away. They've stayed together as a team, and they've not gotten better. All the other teams are slowly overtaking them. Right now, it looks like Secret might be a bottom 2 team.
Yeah, it sort of is just how it is. But with that, I think it is time for us to say goodnight. We've had 2 fantastic series tonight, and I got to cast with my best friend Your Way, which is always a treat. It's the OG duo of VCS English. We will see you next week for more VCS action. At the same time, same place. See you then. Have a good night. Have a good week.